Welcome back to George's Cameras TV, and today we have a fantastic new announcement to make involving Fujifilm. We have the brand new Fujifilm X-H2s, and we're super excited to have a look at the differences between this and the X-H1 and see what major improvements they've made to this chock-a-block field camera. Let's dive into it. The X-H2 continues down the flagship line of Fujifilm cameras, which is aimed at the professional, targeted for photojournalism or anyone who is in cinematography or videography or anyone that is a high-level enthusiast. The main differences between the X-H2s and the X-H1 is a large variety of ergonomic differences as well as what's on the inside as well. In the X-H2s, you have a brand new 26.1 megapixel stacked beer-sized CMOS sensor backed up with an X processor 5. The X processor 5 combined with the 26.1 megapixel stacked sensor will give you a large variety of performance upgrades from the X-H1, such as a much more sophisticated AI-driven autofocus system, as well as higher dynamic range, and we'll go into more detail in a moment. But firstly, let's look at the main ergonomic differences between the two cameras. So first major difference is the X-H2 has a more professional layout compared to the X-H1. You've got your two dials on your X-H1 for your shutter and ISO, which is a very traditional Fujifilm X setup, whereas the X-H2 has gone for the more professional approach. You've got no dial for shutter speed, that is now handled by a wheel, and your ISO can now be changed by this button, which then you can roll your wheel to select your ISO, which is a lot more efficient when you're on the field and you're shooting. The second thing is you've got a mode dial now on top, so you can seamlessly change through your modes as you would in a standard professional camera. You've got your 4 photo modes, you've got 7 custom programmable modes now, so if there are specific settings you like and you know that these are the settings you work around, you can program them into one of these 7 programmable modes so you can quickly get to the mode you need. And lastly, you've got the video mode on top as well, and that will allow you to switch to the video function super quickly. And speaking of video, you have a video button on top on the X-H2s to easily start and stop recording. You also have a white balance button as well if you need to quickly change white balance to correct any kind of colors on scene. And then finally, you have your settings screen as well, which is similar to the X-H1 to give you all your necessary settings data. On the back of the cameras, you'll notice the screens are a lot different. On the X-H1, you've got your standard tilt screen. You can tilt it up and down or in portrait. Whereas the X-H2s, you have the very popularized flip screen. So you can frame yourself if you use the screen pointing towards the lens, and also you can tilt it as well. So there's a lot more versatility in this type of screen. Secondly, the buttons in the X-H2s, a lot more tactile. They feel more professional and they're just in the right places ergonomically. One of the biggest updates as well is the joystick. It's a lot bigger in the X-H2s than the X-H1, and it just feels a lot better. So if you're going to be quickly changing your autofocus points or just navigating your camera, the joystick on this is not only better positioned, but it just feels a lot nicer to use. On the side of the camera, you'll notice that there is a massive difference for memory. So on the X-H1, you'll take 2 SD card slots, whereas the X-H2s has 1 SD card slot and it has 1 CF Express slot. The camera capabilities in the X-H2s are a lot more dear. You have the ability to shoot up to 6.2K video, and you can shoot as fast as 15 frames per second. So having a CF Express card is going to be your best friend. You're going to have much better read speeds, much faster write speeds that will keep up with the camera's performance capabilities. And on the left side of the camera, in regards to ports, the X-H2 is laid out in a much more professional layout. Each port has its own individual door, so you don't have to open one door and have it flopped out and have everything plugged in. But you've got mic and headphone capabilities. You've also got a full-size HDMI port, which is amazing. And you've also got a USB-C port, which doubles as a charging port as well if you keep the battery in, or as an ability to tether and transfer as well. Lastly, you have a massive update in the EVF in the X-H2s. It now boasts a 5.76 million dot EVF, and you can really see the difference when you look in between the two. The X-H2s is a lot brighter, more vibrant, so when you're using this out on the field, it's going to be a lot easier for you to frame your photos, but also see what settings you have as well. One of any professional's must-have accessory for their camera is the battery grip, and the X-H2s has an updated battery grip. Comparing the two between the X-H1's battery grip and the X-H2s's is you have 3 functions now on the performance dial. So on the X-H1, you have the normal mode, and you've got a much faster boost power option. On the X-H2s, you've got normal, but you also have eco and boost. Eco allowing you to minimize the use of your battery so you can shoot for longer, and you've got boost as well so that you can use the camera to its full potential. You've got some extra buttons on here as well. So on the X-H1, they did have the AF buttons on it, but they were really small and kind of like fiddly to navigate to. You've got the same tactile buttons that are on the X-H2s on the battery grip. So you've got your focus buttons here, you've got your quick menu button as well, you've got the better joystick as well, and as standard, your wheels as well. And basically you're gonna get longer battery life, very essential if you're gonna do high-end video or long shoots throughout the day, and also a way for you to unlock potential in your camera. Speaking of long shoots and video, there is also a cooling fan as well. So if you're going to be shooting high-end video in your 4Ks or your 6K resolutions, or you're going to be shooting for a long time and you know the camera is going to be fixed, or you know that the camera is going to be using up a lot of power, the cooling fan can be attached to the back, and it's basically going to keep your camera nice and cool so that it's going to run for a lot longer and more reliably. All right, so let's dive deeper into the performance. As I mentioned earlier, it's got a brand new 26.1 megapixel BSI CMOS stack sensor and a new processor as well. This now unlocks a large variety of performance updates. So let's go over the dynamic range. Firstly, you can now shoot up to 14 stops of dynamic range, which gives you a lot of versatility, especially in those low light moments where you need to pull out some shadows, or in those really bright moments where you need to pull down some highlights. You've got a lot of range to work with. Secondly, it's got 5-axis image stabilization inbuilt, which is pretty standard now. It's also got weather sealing. You can shoot it in temperatures as cold as -10 degrees Celsius or as hot as 40 degrees Celsius, which gives you a large variety of working conditions. In terms of continuous shooting capabilities, the X-H2s can shoot 15 frames per second mechanically, as well as 40 frames per second electronically with no crop and blackout free. You can also shoot unlimited JPEGs and RAWs as well. It's basically just down to how fast your card is. So if you're a trigger happy shooter, go with a CF Express card and go for your life. One of the biggest performance updates in the X-H2s is the brand new autofocus system. The sensor and processor combined now give you a lot more performance output. So you've got 100% coverage, you've got up to 425 selectable autofocus points, and it's got a brand new algorithm in it to now allow you to shoot faster moving objects a lot better. And even better, it has tracking capabilities as well. So you've got the ability to track face and eye, you've got the ability to track animals as well. And if you like shooting motorsport, you've got cars and motorcycles as well. So basically, if you do enjoy shooting autofocus for all those types of profiles, you can finally track them a lot more reliably and faster in the X-H2s. Well, enough of me talking about features. We're going to take this camera out for a spin. One thing to note though, we can't share any samples as this is a pre-production model without the final firmware, but we will do a performance check on it, and we will be testing it with the brand new 18-120mm power zoom f4 lens, as well as the brand new 150-600 f5.6-8 lens. Let's check it out. Also have to mention that it has a new battery. Keep forgetting about the battery. NPW235. Image stabilization, mint. Love it, it's so stable. Even at 600mm. And this is like cropped, so it's even more than 600. Check this out. Boom. Oops, don't check that out. This is 600mm handheld at f8. And this is 150. Crazy. Look how sharp that is. Look how sharp that is. All right, so we're just testing out the facial tracking, and it's doing quite a good job at the moment. Just tracking my eyes here, which is so neat. But wow, look at it go. Maybe I'll just do this and then this. Boom. 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 Detected. We're gonna try shoot some birds. And one just flew by. But I put it on bird detection, which is a good start. Or, actually, instead, let's shoot some cars. So I don't know when the next bird is coming. So to test the autofocus, we're gonna put it in the car mode. So you've got a car mode, an airplane mode, a bike mode, but we're gonna go to the car and we're gonna do some bursts. So let's go. Boom. 15 frames, 10 frames. You can also shoot slow. You've got 8, 7, 5, and 3. But let's do 15 because got a Safe Express card, got nothing to lose. Super quick. The autofocus is amazing. Check this out. Look at it just snapping on every single car that just comes past. That is insane. Also, something to keep in mind as well, we're shooting in pretty poor lighting at the moment. The sun's now set well behind the buildings. I'm shooting at about 2500 ISO and the images look great. Obviously, it's not a computer screen, but zooming in on the details here, shooting at relatively high ISOs, we're getting some pretty good quality images and not much noise. Very, very nice. But I'm very impressed with this tracking. Like, it's probably one of the fastest continuous autofocus tracking profiles I've seen. It's so cool. I'm gonna say the autofocus continuous is not too shabby at the moment. It's tracking quite well. Just want to see if this is going to play back in slow motion because that will be sweet. Oops, sorry. There we go. Some bit of, whoa! Check out that power zoom, dude. There we go, we've got some slow motion action. Pretty cool. Just ignore the filming. Just ignore the filming. It is. So shooting impressions on the X-H2. We've got with us the 18 to 120mm f4 power zoom lens. It's got your standard coatings, XF mount. It's got a power zoom control at the back here, so you can smoothly transition between wide and tele and vice versa. And you've also got weather resistance, so you can use it outdoors in the worst of conditions. Now, in terms of using the camera, the ergonomic changes on the camera are great. Personally, I do like Fujifilm's ability to have your little dials for your shutter, your ISO, and the ability to kind of change all of that by hand. It's really nice. However, if you're on a shoot, I feel the form factor that they've gone with now in the ergonomics is just a lot more efficient. It makes a lot more sense. Using it through the wheels, you've got your mode dials that you can quickly change through. The feeling of the camera is really nice. You've got a nice deep grip. It's not too heavy either. The camera is just all around just a really nice experience to use. And I feel like for a professional, the X-H2s is a pretty big update from the X-H1 and probably the only camera in the Fujifilm X lineup that really feels like it's a ready to go professional camera. So if you're out there looking for a super reliable camera, whether it be for photography or video as well, the X-H2s really has a nice package in it. It's got all the features you need. It's got all the ergonomic updates and the tactile buttons and everything else a professional would love. And to top off the experience, adding a battery grip, adding the cooling for that high-end video taking as well is going to go wonders for you on the field. If you have any questions on the Fujifilm X-H2s, pop them in the comments below. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest videos. And if you don't want to miss any updates that we have coming out, make sure to hit that bell as well to stay up to date and be the first one to know about any upcoming content that we post. If you have any other questions about any kind of camera or just want to have a chat, drop into our store in Sydney, and we'll see you next time for another video. Have a great one.